This is Sweaty Hero Comic Bargains, and today we're talking about just sort of a miscellaneous variety pack of books that you can find in the dollar bin. These ones and so here we got Star Trek. We have these are issues from the DC's runs in the early '90s. Takes place after Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. This issue is kind of cool, and it has references to different Star Trek characters from the past. I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, and the villain from one of the Klingons from Star Trek Five actually makes an appearance in this, which was kind of cool. The Trial of James Kirk, Part One. This is just Part One, but it was a really great story. I like the art too. Peter David did a lot of Star Trek stories and novels, and it's a really cool story. You get into like some of Uhura, and there's a new character here that they introduce. They have going on shore leave. I thought that was kind of interesting, and they're talking about like uh, you know her feelings for Kirk or whatever. Not hers, but like this other girl's. And then Sarek is in this, and it's kind of picking up after threads that were left from the various Star Trek movies and how the Klingons did not like Kirk. And it's just excellent. It's just excellent stuff. It feels like this does fill in the gaps of Star Trek stories, and I recommend these '90s Star Trek for fans of the Star Trek movies. This is Star Wars: The Battle of Jakku, and these Star Wars stories take place after the events of Return of the Jedi. This is from 2025, so these are Marvel comics that are from 2025. Events that take place after the Return of the Jedi, but also tie in with the sequels. So Marvel is kind of doing their own continuity, as most people know. That's apart from the legacy continuity from when Dark Horse did it and other publishers did it in the '90s and all the way to the time Disney bought it. But a lot of the Star Wars comics by Marvel have been really good, and I have enjoyed them. And I do recommend them. Void Rivals. Now, on first glance, you're like, "What is Void Rivals?" But it is part of the Image um, Robert Kirkman Skybound comics. Uh, I find Image for doing Transformers is kind of funny because Image is a creator-owned thing, but it's technically the Skybound imprint of Image. But anyways, my digress. My point is that uh, when this title was first released, no one knew what it was about. But the secret was that it's about the aliens races, the humanoid alien races, I should say, that were from the Transformers universe. And so in this issue, you actually have Hot Rod make a guest star appearance. And I found this a lot. This was kind of really refreshing. It was really cool to take like so these characters that are probably were side characters in Transformer lore, and kind of like now you're creating their backstory. Um, and it takes place in space. It reminds me of the original Transformers season 3. If you remember that, when it would take place in the year 2005. It was 1985, and it took place in the future of 2005. And a lot of season 3 took place in space and had the five face guys. Um, so you do see the five faced aliens here. They're cool. Um, and so I highly recommend that. And all the Transformer comics in that line, Transformers and GI Joe, in this Energon universe that they created, have been really excellent and highly praised. Hard Case is from the Ultraverse, which was started by Malibu Comics in the '90s after the Image creators left. Basically, Image was published by Malibu, even though it was called Image, but Malibu was doing the publishing side. And then after a couple of years, Image said, we have enough money, we can just do it ourselves instead of having you do it." And so Malibu kind of made their own superhero universe called Ultraverse, which they had superheroes before, but like this was like an attempt to really break in. Barry Windsor Smith did a character called Rune, which is kind of like this sword and sorcery type character, and this was kind of a preview of that. This book also had a preview of The Nightman, which became a TV show actually for a season or two, and you can probably find that on the internet. But Hardcase and the Ultraverse, a lot of these stories were really cool. And then you got in terms of these, what we got in this pile of to go to the that are from the dollar bin. We got a copy of Archie's Weird Mysteries. We have a copy of Sovereign Seven. Sovereign Seven. I enjoy this comic book. It is by Chris Claremont, and it's his. It's interesting because they're creator-owned characters, but for some reason he decided to put them inside the DC universe, interacting with all the New God characters, the Jack Kirby Fourth World type characters. I'm not sure why he didn't bother going. I guess I'm not sure if he ever was going to bring this to Image. Um, but Image, because it was so artist focused, that it probably was like, well, you're a writer. Um, and I kind of almost wish that Sovereign Seven was maybe not part of Image, but like in a completely its own universe, because it's just the ideas were kind of cool. It's kind of very like, I'll call it like Cosmic X Men. Yeah, I'll call it Cosmic X Men because Chris Claremont did a decade on X Men, so we'll call this Cosmic X Men. And if you like X Men and you like that idea, you like this. We got some fun covers. This is from, of course, the Reign of Superman. And as I always tell people, the triangles helped you to read these comic stories in order. They had three or four Superman titles operating at the same time, and this way you could say, "Oh, Triangle 1993, 18," and then you would find out and say, "Next week in Adventures of Superman 502," and it would be Triangle 19. So you could read them in order. Um, but this is a great cover, great condition, and yeah, there's like millions of the copies of the Return of Superman story arc. But the Return of Superman story arc, if you've never read it, the Death and Return of Superman, definitely read it. And this is, of course, from the Funeral of Superman, with one of my favorite Superman artists, um, being Dan Jurgens, such an underappreciated artist. Um, then we have a cardstock copy, cardstock copies of Detective Comics. I have two copies here. These are $5.99 US books, so it's more like $8 Canadian, but they were in the dollar bin. And then here's a copy of Batman Beyond from the DC Rebirth era, and I look forward to reading a lot of these because Dan Jurgens did the writing on this, and this is kind of like, it's not. I would say it is that it's not directly the Batman Adventures, Batman Beyond cartoon universe, but it's close enough in continuity. It's kind of its own continuity. It's kind of It's kind of the continuity of Batman Beyond exists, but not necessarily. I would say all the Batman adventures exist. If that makes sense. Yeah. Anyways, a lot of good stuff in here, and still stay sweaty. Get some more dollar comic books, and always look for new deals and new titles. Thanks. Oh, oh, oh! It stopped.